Hi, boys and girls. It's so good to be back with you again and back learning about our Bible stories about Moses. And last time I did a video, we were learning about the plagues that God sent because Pharaoh would not listen to Moses and would not let the children of Israel go. Do you remember what those first plagues were? Let's kind of do a little bit of a review to see if we can remember. So remember, the first plague was blood. When Moses put the stick in the ground, it made the water turn to blood. And they couldn't drink it, and even if they poured the water out of their pitchers, it was blood. It was terrible. And then pretty soon all the fish in the water died, and it stunk to high heaven. It was terrible. So the first plague was blood. And when Pharaoh told Moses, no, I won't let you the people go, there was another plague. The second plague, remember what that was? Frogs. Frogs everywhere. Frogs on the tables, frogs in the beds. Everywhere they went, there were all these frogs everywhere. And it was miserable. And so Pharaoh said, okay, get rid of the frogs, I'll let you people go. And once the frogs were gone, Pharaoh changed his mind again. And he said, no, you may not go. Well, pretty soon, there was another plague. And Aaron took the rod and struck the ground. And out of the ground, there was these little lice. Tiny little bugs that get stuck in your hair, and they just, they're miserable, and they make you itch, and they've got lice all over the clothes and all over their bodies, and there was lice everywhere. It was terrible, and they were itchy, and they hated it. And so that was the third plague. So the first one was blood, then there were frogs, then there was lice. And once again, Pharaoh changed his mind after God got rid of all the lice. Then Pharaoh said, nope, you can't go. The next thing was flies. Flies everywhere. They'd open their mouth and flies would fly in the mouth, in their ears and eyes and all of their food, and flies, just they couldn't get away from the flies. It was miserable. And so once again, Pharaoh said, all right, I'll let you people go if you get rid of the flies. But as soon as the flies were gone, he changed his mind again. Oh my goodness, he was so stubborn. And again, God sent Moses to go to Pharaoh after all those different plagues. So he went before Pharaoh along with Aaron, remember his brother, and he warned him. He said, if you don't let my people go, then there will be a disease, a terrible disease that are going to kill all the animals, the cows, the horses, the donkeys, the flocks, and the herds. But the Israelites' animals will not be touched. Then you'll prove it's from God. This is going to prove to you. But all of the Egyptian animals are going to die. And the Lord announced it would happen the next day. And sure enough, the next day they woke up and there were all these dead animals, dead donkeys and dead cows all over the place. But still, Pharaoh's mind would remain unchanged, and he did not let the people go again. So next, God told Moses to take ashes from the stove and throw them up in the air right in front of Pharaoh. And when he did that, he took these ashes and he threw them up. There were boils, these little terrible sores all over their bodies. And even the Pharaoh had boils, and all the Egyptians had boils, and it was terrible. These little sores that kind of flare up, and they're just miserable. And so all the Egyptians had these terrible sores called boils. And even the animals got them. It was just miserable. But guess what? The children of Israel didn't get the boils. Only the Egyptians. And then God said, all right, I want you to go and point your rod up to the heavens. And I am going to cause a storm to come from the heavens. And that storm is going to, a hailstorm, a major, humongous, incredible hailstorm would come. And all of a sudden, the sky got dark and clouds arrived. And there was this gigantic hail that came pouring out of the sky all over Egypt. And these were massively huge hailstones that landed on the ground. And when they landed on the ground, they like broke down all the crops. And even the palm trees ended up breaking down and falling on the ground. And all of the crops that were the grasses that would feed the animals and the food that they would grow all got smashed from this hailstorm. And Pharaoh saw the hail and he just couldn't believe it. Do you think he would let the people go? Of course not. Nope. And he still turned his heart to hard. He was very, very hard-hearted. And all of Egypt laid in ruins. The fields were a mess. They were just kind of flattened. And all the people, the Egyptians thought, what's going on, Pharaoh? Listen to them. Let them go because you're destroying Egypt. But guess what? Goshen, where Moses and the Israelites lived, not a single hailstone. Their crops were just fine. Next, God said he was going to send locusts. A locust is kind of like a grasshopper, but they're a little bit bigger, and they swarm. These locusts will, once in a while, they swarm together, and they eat all the grass and all the crops and all the plants. So if there was anything left after the hailstorm, the locusts ate it all. And the ground was covered in these grasshoppers, these locusts. And even the people in the court of Pharaoh said, let the people go. Can't you see he's ruining us? And finally Pharaoh said to Moses, who will go? He thought maybe only a few of you can go. And Moses said, no, all of us. And all of our animals have to go too, and our property. We'll take everything with us. And Pharaoh said, oh, no, you cannot go. Only the men, but leave the women and children behind, because he didn't want them to leave forever. What would they do without their slaves, right? Well, after the locust came, Pharaoh said, I promise I'll let the people go as soon as you get rid of these locusts. So he started to change his mind for a second. So Moses talked to God, and he caused this big wind to blow. So a strong wind blew, and all of the locusts blew away. But when he went back to Pharaoh that night, Pharaoh, of course, changed his mind again. The next plague was a very strange one. This time, God sent a darkness. There was such a deep, deep darkness that you couldn't even see your hand in front of you. Everything was dark. There was no light anywhere. It was deep, deep dark. And it was such a strange thing. Oh, my goodness. The people could hardly go anywhere. It was like everybody was blind. And this kind of made Pharaoh a little bit more afraid. And he said, okay, go. Go. You can get your people out of here. I don't ever want to see you again. You may go, but leave your herds behind. Leave your animals here. And Moses said, no. We have to take everything. We have to take our animals because they're part of our worship to God. And so Pharaoh should have listened to God, but he didn't. Once again, his heart was hard, and he refused to listen to God. The next plague was going to be the worst of all. And Pharaoh promised to repent and change. Every time he would promise to change, he'd say, oh, okay. But he never really changed in his heart. And his actions showed that he really hadn't changed. But things were getting pretty bad. What will finally change Pharaoh's mind? When will he let the children of Israel go? We'll find out tomorrow.